I recognize the member for Regina Walsh Acres.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to stand today to join in this budget debate. And first, I must thank the constituents of Regina Walsh Acres. It is because of them, that I'm able to stand here today and reply to our first budget on our second term. Mr. Speaker, in my first 5 months as an MLA, I've been able to meet many new constituents, whether being in our constituency office, they came in and chatted, or being at events, Spring Free from Racism, where I attended it with my colleagues from Regina Pell Valley and Regina Dudney, and from across the way, Regina Rosemont. And Mr. Speaker, I've been able to attend the Luther Invitational Basketball Tournament and bring greetings and meet some constituents there as well. And it's just, people have been a pleasure to meet many people within our area. So, Mr. Speaker, before I begin, I'd like to send my thanks to some very important people in my life. And first and foremost, that will be my wife, Larissa. She's an amazing person, and she is the reason I'm able to stand here today. Her support means the world to me. And Mr. Speaker, she's the person most in this world that keeps me grounded, and I will be forever thankful to have her in my life. Mr. Speaker, I'd also like to thank my brothers and sisters for all of their support. Although we live far ways away from each other, they always remind me that if I ever need advice, they're just a phone call away. And Mr. Speaker, I forgot to mention these people during my speech to the throne, and I heard it a little bit, so I have to thank my in-laws. My in-laws, Larry and Loretta Copan, and my brother-in-laws, Lance and Lonnie. They've been there from the very beginning, and they were very supportive when Larissa and I told them that I was going to run in politics, and I think little did they know what they were going to get in for.
Mention their name again.
They're all there for us during the election, whether it was dropping literature or driving to polls on election day. And for this, Mr. Speaker, I am certain that our volunteers were the best fed during election day. They had homemade soup and sandwiches for lunch and homemade pierogies and sausage for supper, and everyone was very pleased with that, and I have to thank my mother-in-law and wife for that. Thank you very much.
That's what you want.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to thank my campaign volunteers once more. These people worked tirelessly to support us in our bid to win Regina Walsh Acres and put it on this side of the House. If it wasn't for their effort, Mr. Speaker, I would not be here today.
Hear, hear.
Finally, to the budget. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the Premier, Minister of Finance, the Treasury Board, and all the ministers and staff that have worked tirelessly to help keep the Saskatchewan advantage in this budget. The message that I took from the budget was to allow sustained economic growth while living within our means, and I think we've accomplished this. This is an important point, Mr. Speaker, because no decisions in this budget were taken lightly. Overall spending was held to 4.7% increase this year. 3.9% of that is increases in operating spending, the rest in capital investment. Mr. Speaker, overall spending will be $11.2 billion, and this is virtually identical to the spending promise that we made in our campaign platform last November. Mr. Speaker, while on this topic, it seems like something the NDP are a little sheepish talking about. I would be remiss not to bring up the fact that the current finance critic and front-runner for the leadership of the NDP was the architect of the campaign platform, and that platform would have plunged our province into a deficit budget for the next 4 years. And Mr. Speaker, I've had the opportunity to get to know the member from Rosemont, and he seems like a nice enough guy. He seems like a good guy. And, you know, he seems like a good guy, but with budgeting skills like his, I would not let this man be the treasurer of my beer league hockey team. Mr. Speaker, our budget ensures that programs are sustainable and our government is focused both on the short-term and long-term financial sustainability of our province. Mr. Speaker, our province is in a unique situation. Last Wednesday, our finance minister was able to stand and present a budget that was balanced both on a GRF and summary financial basis.
Hear, hear.
Mr. Speaker, he was the only finance minister in Canada that had that honour.
Hear, hear.
This budget is about keeping the Saskatchewan advantage. And Mr. Speaker, people have asked me, what exactly do you think is the Saskatchewan advantage? To me, Mr. Speaker, the Saskatchewan advantage is seen in the opportunity for youth in our province to stay right here and work. The opportunity for new Saskatchewanians to build a better future here in our province. And Mr. Speaker, the Saskatchewan advantage is a promise of a better tomorrow. As always, when I was writing my speech, my wife was there and helping me out, and I No, and she didn't write it for me, Mr. Speaker, but I said, honey, what do you think the Saskatchewan Advantage is? And she put it the best. She said, the Saskatchewan Advantage can be seen in people's eyes. There's a sense of pride you see in people's eyes in Saskatchewan now, and that has only happened in the new Saskatchewan. She's a very smart lady. Very smart lady. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, quite frankly, Saskatchewan Advantage is seen in lower taxes, less debt, and sustainable spending and programs now into the future. And as a government, we've made great strides in this province. And you may have heard the phrase, I know the opposition says this a lot, you may have heard the phrase that we used, there's more work to do. And Mr. Speaker, I see that that's true, because people of Saskatchewan, they understand that we have a lot of work ahead of us, so that's why they sent 14 members more on this side of the House during the last election. Mr. Speaker, our population is at an all-time high. Just last week, Stats Canada released its population estimates, putting Saskatchewan at an all-time high of 1,067,612 people. And we haven't seen this increase since 1953, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, while the rest of the country is experiencing net losses of residents, Saskatchewan is one of the only 2 provinces in Canada to maintain a net migration. Basically what this means, Mr. Speaker, is there's more people coming than going. And that's something that we didn't see in the 16 years of the NDP.
Never.
Mr. Speaker, I remember the days when our young people were fleeing our province in droves in search of greener pastures. Well, every young family was faced with this question. And remember this word. Do we move away or do we stay here and persevere? Persevere. That's such a strange word to me. See, it's an interesting word, but it was a word that fit perfect with that NDP government of the past. The words prosper or grow just never entered their vocabulary. The people within the NDP and their followers were just happy to be. And Mr. Speaker, don't take my words for this. It was summed up best by a former Minister of Economic Development, get this, Eldon Laudermilk, who summed up their position the best. When asked about our province's decline in population, he said, it was okay because the more people that left just meant there was more people for the ones that stayed.
What?
Really? An economic development minister that approved of people leaving the province so that there's more for the people that stayed?
What?
That, I don't know, for me, that I don't get that philosophical ideology, so maybe that's why I'm over here. Mr. Speaker, I was thinking what attracts our people to this province. And I keep coming back to one thing, quality of life. This budget maintains our quality of life here in Saskatchewan by keeping our economy strong, sustainable and growing to continue to attract people from other provinces and other countries. Mr. Speaker, this budget is also about keeping our promise. In last election, just a few short months ago, we promised a first-time homeowners tax credit. We are keeping this promise by delivering the $1,100 non-refundable tax credit. Mr. Speaker, and I'm in the same boat. My wife and I just bought a new house, and we were moving in, and it's pretty overwhelming with all the costs, the down payment, the lawyer fees, the moving expenses, the property tax, and lawyers' fees. They do get up there, you know, and I guess they get paid what they think they're worth. So. But, Mr. Speaker, I found the ranting and raving speech of the always entertaining, although sometimes mostly grossly inaccurate member from Athabasca interesting. And as we all know, we just went through an election, and I had the ability to go and walk around Walsh Acres and meet many new residents. And for me, I was very fortunate because I saw a lot of young new homeowners in Walsh Acres. They're young people. Walsh Acres is a great place for people to get started in the housing industry. And I'm opening these doors, and really, Mr. Speaker, there's young families, and they're in their first home, and they're happy, they're smiling, and they're very optimistic to the future. And I believe that our government is able to support more young people moving into homes for the first time, and that's something that is very close to my heart, and I think it's really helping for us to attract more young people to this province when we can give them a foot in the door to home ownership. So that's one of our promises we kept over our platform. And Mr. Speaker, we're keeping our promise to provide up to $2,000 more over 4 years to new high school graduates, and that's the new Saskatchewan Advantage Scholarship. This $2,000 will help new post-secondary students with their tuition payments right here in our province. And I'm going on a limb here, Mrs. Deputy Speaker, but I think I may be the most recent high school graduate in this assembly. Madam Speaker, I'm sorry. I think I was the most recent high school graduate. On our side for sure. I'm not sure about that side. But I remember when we graduated high school, and I go around and I was thinking of what I was going to do after high school. And Mr. Speaker, I know that these questions are pretty difficult for young people at age 18 and 19 to decide what they're going to do, or in some people's cases 21, 22. But after these decisions are made, it's nice to know that the government's there to support them. And I just have to say a few things on behalf of the member from Greystone, that I don't think there's been a post-secondary minister that has put more time and effort into promoting our post-secondary schools in the history of our province. He's done a great job to promote the U of R and U of S and SciS campuses, and the money he's put in there to help build on their reputations and to help build their facilities. There's a top-notch kinesiology facility right here in the U of R. There's a top-notch business school here in the U of R and U of S, and I'm just proud that he's done a heck of a job, and I just wanted to make sure that he knew that. So congratulations to the Minister of AEI. Mr. Speaker, that being said, our minister is the second to none. So I attended university under the NDP, actually, Madam Speaker, and I just want to say that, I attended university when the NDP were in power, and it's something that the people at the U of R, they're very happy when they rolled out these ad hoc tuition freeze programs. And the one thing about tuition freeze programs is, it's a short-term gain for long-term pain, because that offloads costs onto future students going there, which makes it 10 times harder for someone that's going to graduate 4 or 5 years down the road to go to school, because those tuition increases are exorbitant. They're 10-15%. We've seen this all across the country about these tuition freezes. And Mr. Speaker, our minister makes sure that there's not more than a 3 or 4% tuition increase, and that means a lot towards the people and the students of this province. Mr. Speaker, I'm proud to say our government is committed to the SED program. It's a program and it's a commitment that we made in our campaign, and it's another promise we kept during this budget, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the benefit of the Saskatchewan Assured Income Disability Benefit is $17.8 million to enhance this program. What this means, Mr. Speaker, is that individuals enrolled in the SED program will be receiving more money every month to improve their quality of life. And in June 2012, couples living independently will receive $230 more a month, and single individuals living independently will receive $200 a month. Mr. Speaker, these increases will make a huge difference in the lives of people within the SED program. We've also increased the number of individuals eligible for the program through a new assessment process. This will open up the door for 7,000 new people living independently to become eligible for the SED program. Mr. Speaker, what this says is, that's a lot of numbers, and I know the finance critic doesn't like numbers, but what this means basically, Mr. Speaker, is that I'm so proud to see our government standing up for those most vulnerable in our society, and that's what this budget does. We promise to increase the Seniors Income Plan, a supplement that helps low-income seniors in Saskatchewan. And just to be clear, those people across the floor never once thought it necessary to increase the Senior Income Plan in 16 years. Not once. And that's how they feel about seniors. You can see it in their record, not their rhetoric. Mr. Speaker, in 2009-10, our budget, our government raised the maximum monthly benefit from $90 to $190 for single seniors, more than doubling an amount set under the previous government. I don't have to go into that again. Mr. Speaker, in this budget, we've committed an additional $50 per month, with another $10 a month every year for the next 3 years. This means by the end of this term, our government will have tripled our benefits to low-income seniors that they receive every month. Again, Mr. Speaker, we are standing up for our society's most vulnerable.
Absolutely.
Mr. Speaker, one of the most important components of this budget is the investment in affordable housing. This will have a very positive impact on Regina because of the diverse demographics in Regina. Finding affordable housing, I know, can be a challenge. As it crosses the province, we have committed to addressing this issue. And I can think of no better way than through the initiatives announced in this budget. We've introduced a new corporate income tax rebate on new rental housing in the province. This means that more people will be building rental units, increasing the supply of affordable housing. This income tax rebate removes a huge barrier of development of the rental housing. This project also includes a $2 million funding increase for the rental construction initiatives in the Affordable Home Ownership Program, and $9.2 million for the rental development program to develop an additional 200 rental units in the community with a long-term housing need. This will result in, remember this number, this will result in 12,600 new affordable homes, of which 10,000 units will be of the rental kind. Mr. Speaker, by taking this responsible route, we ensure by taking this route, we ensure the sustainability of the construction of affordable housing in our province. In fact, Mr. Speaker, Bill Mader of the Association of Saskatchewan Realtors had this to say about these initiatives. Over many years, we've had a real shortage on the rental side, so I think this is a big help. I think it's a potential home run for the provincial government. Bill Mader of the Saskatchewan Housing Realtors. Madam Deputy Speaker, Steve McLennan, President of the Saskatchewan Chamber of Commerce, said that this housing move was a positive one, stating, and I quote, "One of the biggest challenges to our growth is a lack of housing for the new people, immigrant, and new people moving home. But overall, they've struck a good balance." Mr. Speaker, we've all experienced the pain of watching someone we love waiting for surgery. I know I have, and Mr. Speaker, it's something that this budget moves forward with innovative healthcare initiatives. And Mr. Speaker, it's a hard thing to watch when a loved one's suffering and waiting for surgery. That is why our government has increased the health budget. We are putting patients first, and we want to ensure that no Saskatchewan resident waits more than 3 months for surgery by 2014. Mr. Speaker, the Saskatchewan Cancer Agency has given an additional $16.9 million in this year's budget. Mr. Speaker, I don't think I have to tell people what cancer is hit each and every one of us in this assembly, and it's something that it's a terrible disease. And I think when people from across the floor talk about misplaced priorities, I don't think they include this in it. I think having a priority of dealing with cancer as best as we can is something that we over here take great pride in, and I hope people over on the other side will support us in this initiative for sure. Mr. Speaker, Scott Livingston, the CEO, says, and I quote, "It will allow us to maintain and improve access to cancer services over the next year." And Mr. Speaker, I think that going forward, that's just another thing we can build on. One thing that Regina Walsh-Acres constituents should be aware of is that the amount of provincial income tax they will pay in 2012 is substantially less than just 5 short years ago. For example, a family of 4 with an annual income of $50,000 will save $2,638 per year in 2012 as compared to 2007. Mr. Speaker, this works out to about $220 per month, which for a family of 4 means a lot. For example, Mr. Speaker, it means that people that didn't really have maybe the ability to go and play sports, take a piano lesson, do some things. It's really about improving the quality of life for people, which we talked about, which is part of the Saskatchewan Advantage, Mr. Speaker. And this side will always believe that people themselves will know what best to do with their money, and government will not, Mr. Speaker. So the more money that we can put into people's pockets, we always will and always will think that's a good thing. Mr. Speaker, keeping the Saskatchewan Advantage is exactly what this budget does, Mr. Speaker. And this is a balanced budget that keeps our promises and ensures that spending is sustainable and it keeps our economy growing. And all the Saskatchewan citizens, whether they've been here their entire lives or are just new to this province, know that they can enjoy a quality of life in Saskatchewan second to none. Madam Deputy Speaker, just a few more comments. Well, first and foremost, I see that my wife is here now, so I just want to say hi and thank her very much for making it. And she reminds me one thing, and one thing is that, Mr. Speaker, our people are our greatest strength. They all share a distinctive spirit, one of hard work, dedication, and pride, where we live and where we come from. And together, Mr. Speaker, we can keep Saskatchewan's momentum going as we continue to lead the country in the coming years. After years of being a have-not province, Saskatchewan citizens deserve to be where they are right now. And it's through their hard work, not government, through the people's hard work. And that's why we're here and where we are right now. And we're leading the country in many economic indicators, Mr. Speaker. And I am so very humble to be able to speak to this balanced budget, this sustainable budget. And on behalf of the great constituency of Wall Shakers, I will be supporting this budget, and I will not be supporting the amendment.